Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Music Maniacs. I'm Dr. Earl, along with the great YR, and it's us three. It's us two at the time being there. I guess Paul Three is busy, or Prince Idol is busy, and it's been a long. It's been a while, a couple of weeks since we did any music shows.
Yeah, there's a lot. Now, just off the bat or whatever, I did go see that Green Day show and the Smashing Pumpkins and the Marley Brothers and all that. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
dive
you
into
saw
that.
those. Yeah, we got to definitely talk about that, but course, yo, we're gonna save the best for last, which is the new Linkin Park lineup. We were supposed to talk about this a couple weeks back when the announcement was made, and we also wanted to discuss something that YR mentioned about, excuse me, about when the bands get a new singer, they often rearrange the chords or the scales of some of their well-known songs. And then we got to dig into that as well because I have a couple theories on why they do that. But I'll let YR begin with the review of the Green Day show that he saw in where was it, in Arlington, Texas, I guess.
Yeah, if you would, and then go on Blabbermouth and do a quick run through and see. I'm sure there's a few bigger news stories that we could touch on, but the let's do the Green Day. So that wouldn't have been one of my choices to go to off the bat. This was like a friend's request. I'll go with a friend,
Hmm.
and
And before,
um,
don't mean to cut you off, dude, but I want to give everybody an update of what's going on with my right eye. Now, as everybody knows, I had surgery done on it yesterday morning. It
yeah,
was I mentioned the cataract surgery that I mentioned a couple of times on programs like these and a couple of vlogs that I filmed. Well, it was performed yesterday morning, and right now the right eye is still dilated. And for what I heard, it's going to be about a couple more hours before the dilation is gone.
can you
Unfor-
see out of that eye right now? You see
Well, it's
colors.
well right now I can see the normal colors, but it's blurry because, as I stated, it's still dilated because of the stuff they put in it prior to the surgery. It was a lot more quicker than what they did with the left eye because the left eye back in July was had a lot more cataracts than the right one, so it was a lot more quicker process in this eye. Thank goodness for that.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Well,
The
see, that's what I told you. Remember when you first started? I was like, you got to go. At first, you got to go find the doctors. Go to the doctors. They tell you what's wrong with you, and then you got to make the appointments.
we did, yes.
You and then you're sitting there waiting for appointments. You might get nervous, but then you go through the operation, and then you go through the healing, and then once it's over, Brown, in 2025, you'll be good. You'll be 1,000% better. Like, come next year, and you're gonna be like, dang, back in the fall, I was doing the surgery, having the surgery done, and
Yes, and
trying to take it easy. You're not being, getting your license switched over to Florida, blah blah blah, and
yes,
everything. So
yeah,
it'll all work out for you. You know what I mean? But
it
you're
will.
actually
My
taking the steps. You're taking the steps to get the stuff done, which a lot of other people, they just sit at home or sit around and complain all day. They don't get nothing done. Like you're actually,
well, you got to
and
get things done because, like
oh
I said, I work a physical job. I like going
yeah,
places, like doing everything. Like go this place, that place, this place here, and to do that, I need to drive. And like, it was that when what they do is at the DMV is that they give you a little test if are you able to see these letters here, and prior to the first surgery, I wasn't able to. And that's when we came back home and told everybody what's going on. They realized, you know what, we got to get this shit done ASAP. So that's when we made the appointments, which eye doctor to do this with. And by the way, credit to the eye doctor who performed the surgery on both eyes. She did a tremendously great job. Much credit to her. And of course, And of course, as I stated, after everything is all healed and stuff, we'll be looking into getting new contacts and then later on new glasses. But most likely, if I return to places like the castle, I may not need any glasses or maybe such. I don't
That's what I'm
know. We have
saying.
to
That
wait.
you're not,
Yeah.
you can't be, you can't do laser eye surgery.
Well,
You heard of that?
because of my type 1 diabetes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's, by the way, I
Uh,
should also give shout out to Carlos Cabral because he stated, I remember you sent me a link that he has type 2 diabetes because of his unfit healthy
yeah.
choice.
Can you get him? Can you message him? Can you try to get him on the call here? Can you invite him on?
I'll try my best. So let's see if I can do this.
Yeah,
Give me a
message
couple.
Prince and message a couple of people. So yeah, like and look, I have a lot of there's a bunch of more concerts coming up that'll be on the channel.
Yes, I
Um,
understand Smashing Pumpkins has a female guitarist along with them on this current tour.
yes,
Kiki
yes, a
Wan,
new
that's her name.
guitarist.
Yeah, her name is Kiki Wan. She has a YouTube channel of her own where she covers many guitar bands like it's Dragon Force, this band, that band. I've seen it a few times. She's a pretty beautiful woman and an awesome guitar player as well.
Yo, yeah. So like, have you ever seen? This was a stadium. This was at a baseball field.
Mm.
This was at a baseball field, professional baseball field, Texas
Yeah, I know.
Rangers.
They've been playing a
And
lot
look,
of.
I'm not gonna. And look, I'm not. And that's a brand new stadium, Brown. This stadium was finished and built. I mean, I believe it was like finished. It was finished right during the pandemic, I
Mm.
think.
Wow.
And brand new stadium. It's a retractable roof,
Mm-hmm.
but at the concert, the audio really isn't that great.
Mm.
There's you got to walk around and find certain spots, and we found a spot where speaker was pointed at us. The PA was pointed at us, and it was fine. But there's it's definitely muddy audio.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, I haven't been on the floor. Uh, these floor seats are kind of like a little bit more pricier, obviously. But overall, like the Green Day concert, tickets weren't that bad. For 150 bucks, you can end up on the floor there.
Really?
But then for like 50 or 60 bucks, you get a seat. I think it was pretty much nosebleeds, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
The setup was really good. It's not bad. Like there's not a bad seat in that place.
No.
Surprisingly, a lot of these newer stadiums, the baseball fields, football fields, if they're indoors,
Mm-hmm.
the like it's almost like a bowl setting. So there's not a bad seat. Even for like that Metallica thing in the Cowboy Stadium, the football thing, it wasn't. There's not a bad seat in there. I mean, anywhere is good. Um, Now, look, I mean, I just can't get over like the audio really isn't the best, but
Mm.
there's other parts of the experience that doesn't make it like a total, like I definitely go back to that venue. I definitely go back, but there is certain spots in there that's better than others. Number one. Now, the
Uh,
price of the seats for that venue and for that concert for the Green Day wasn't bad at all, but
really?
they had the foul ball net, which isn't too bad. Like the foul ball net isn't too. Uh, what is the word? Like you're boxed in. You feel like you're trapped. What is that word called? Uh,
Um.
Good God,
What term is it?
you know what I'm talking about?
Um.
Like claustrophobic. Claustrophobic.
Yes, pretty
Uh,
much. Yeah,
Now
claustrophobic.
with the net being in front of you, it's almost like being in a cage or something, like a steel cage, like wrestling.
I
But
see there. Yes, I understand.
it's not as bad as you would think, but it is a little distracting. So that's why you walk around, find a different spot. Um, the stage was an outfield day. I mean, it's really not like you would think. I mean, in my opinion, number one, a lot of these stadiums or when you watch sports on TV, it's a lot bigger on TV than it seems. Like when you're there at these stadiums, it's really not that big. I mean, it's big. Don't get me wrong, it's big, like 80,000 people. You know, this thing was probably 30,000, something like that, or probably more, like 35,000, 40,000. I would say like 35,000. Um, but when you're there, everything on TV seems bigger. Basically, is what I'm getting to. So like, which also means that there's not a bad seat anywhere really. And like you would think. I mean, honestly, you know, when you go to like a wrestling event, yes, the ring is small, but like they make these stages now. When you go to these concerts, these stages are so big, and they got all these screens all over the place that are
Yeah, so
connected to
that's
the
for
stage.
everybody else
So
in the attendance to see, especially the ones up in the upper balcony, way up in heaven
yeah,
there.
so it's not even that, you know. And I mean, obviously, you get what you pay for. You spend $300 on a ticket that's on the floor, you're going to be pretty close. But you spend 70 or $80, you'll be in the back, but you'll have a seat, or you'll be, you know what I'm saying? There's you can these stadium shows don't get like sold out really. It seems. I mean, there's a point where it's packed. Yes, it's definitely packed, but you can walk around and find. You know what I'm saying? There's no seats that are totally sold out. You know, there's a lot of people that come last minute for sure. Like when you get there and you would think like, man, you know, but this thing was packed, Brown. This thing, and let me tell you, like the um, the pumpkins were great. Pumpkins are great. I mean, a nice, a long, probably like an hour, over an hour set. You know, pumpkin, maybe like
That's how
120.
they. That's how usually opening acts. They have you about an hour to do their set there before the main act comes on.
You know, they were really good, and I saw them last year already, so it wasn't like too. I mean, they were good. They were really good. And let me
It's
don't
kind
get
of
me
funny
wrong.
is that this is probably the first time that the Pumpkins are now a five-piece lineup for this tour because, as we mentioned, they've added a female guitarist, Kiki Wan, out of the LA area, and she's probably I saw through footages of her, and she's like the only one on stage that's totally all metal geared it up, playing all these studs, letters, her Jackson guitar. And it's like wow, interesting. She kind of stands out in the crowd, but then again, she deserves to because she's a damn good damn player. Look her up on YouTube,
They were
definitely.
good. They played all the hits, and they played a bunch of other stuff too. But just Green Day. I mean, Green Day played every song you ever wanted to hear. Really,
Yeah,
they
I understand they did two
there's a
albums in its
lot.
entirety. Yes, Dookie and American Idiot all the way through.
You know, that American Idiot album, that's a straight up rock album.
Mhm.
You know, it's I know Green Day was considered punk rock, blah 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 in the '90s, but like American Idiot, a lot of those songs were on the radio. Number one,
Oh yeah, especially
and
"Wake Me Up" when it's September because
huge.
that album was big. That's what
That's a
really
rock
broke the band
album.
up. It is a
That's a
rock
rock
concept,
album.
a concept album. That was also made into a Broadway play.
And in my opinion, if you want to look it up, but did see if American Idiot album sold more than Dookie album? I
I
wonder
think.
what album was more popular, with sold more.
Let me let me look it up right now here for the kids out there.
I would say American Idiot, bro. That was way mainstream in a good way. Not. I mean, like it was looking back, 2004, I think, on that. Dookie, there's more songs on Dookie that people's heard of than
Many
American
of
Idiot.
them,
I would say.
Longview,
And
Basket
all
Case.
of those, yeah, all of those, all of those. I'd say that, but I would have to say there's more. Even going on YouTube, like, see, how much views did "Wake Me Up When September Ends" or "Boulevard of Broken Dreams" get?
Yep.
Like, even hearing like that, but like, 2003, that was right when.
The second Gulf War was taking place.
Well, no, 2003. I mean, we still had CDs, but like MP3s weren't a thing yet, right? That was
Yes.
more like 2005, right? A couple years later.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
You
but
could still find like an album, how many albums were sold, or how many copies were sold.
yeah, I got Google on my computer screen. It says American Idiot has sold over 23 million copies worldwide, making it the second best-selling album for Green Day, behind their 1994 major label debut album Dookie, and one of the best-selling albums of the decade and all time in the early 2000s. And as I stated,
Oh, it
it
did
was
sell
also
more.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And also, as I mentioned, it was also transformed into a Broadway play along the lines of the Who's Tommy, as well as other the Carrie the musical, like Spider-Man the musical, Evil Dead the musical. But then again, those musicals don't hold up to the Green Day musical.
I feel like I went to another concert before Green Day.
Mm,
Um, well, the Sammy. We already talked about the Sammy stuff. I feel like I went to something in between that.
mm.
I don't remember.
Yes.
Uh,
And now Ziggy, now you went and saw the what was it, the Bob Marley
no,
review, I
hold on.
guess.
So
Yeah,
On the
go
Green
ahead.
Day
My
thing,
bad.
there was multiple. Keep in mind, like the baseball stadium is still a stadium. It really is. Like football stadiums, baseball. I mean, it's a stadium tour, and it's just the sound, like Brown, the sound. I mean, like the sound I got recorded and everything. Like, I found the spot, and I kind of know what to do now. Just find, kind of where the big speakers are pointing to. Because man, that sound is just muddy. It's just maybe if I wore earplugs, is that's what some people say. If
Yeah, that's why they do it
even
when I go
even
to see concerts and when I go to clubs. Always wear earplugs. I try to protect my hearing as much as I can because I remember coming out of the Joe Louis Arena after seeing either Triumph or Iron Maiden play there, and without any earplugs, and my it's the sound of everyone around me just be muffled after a long period of minutes, and then it will go back to normal. When I saw the band Ward play at the Ritz in Rosehill, I was right up there to the singer's monitor, right next to it, and there was a lot of disturbance within my hearing range. So I decided, it's time to wear some earplugs when I go see bands or go to clubs, and I've been doing that ever since.
so, Green Day. There's a they that's I would have to say. I'm going to say something very controversial right now. Okay,
Yep.
when I went to that Metallica, the double, the weekend Friday Sunday 72 seasons tour. It was August of last year, August of 2023.
Hmm.
I want to be honest with you, folks. They played a lot of earlier Metallica that I wasn't too familiar with, and
Really?
they can. I'm a big Black Album guy, obviously. Master of Puppets. Um, but I do like Reload and Load. I do like those albums of the '90s.
Yeah,
I
they are
mean,
pretty good. I will admit, a lot of songs of those two are
like I
pretty
would have
damn
rather
good.
heard, and even the new Metallica was good. I know they had to throw that in, but honestly, there was more Green Day songs that I personally knew and heard of, which means a lot when you go to a concert. Going to a concert and you only know a couple songs. It's not that great,
Mm.
but I do record, so it kind of gives me something to do to pass the time.
Hmm.
Because like there's concerts that have openers, so you have to go watch the openers, and sometimes the openers aren't, you're not a fan of, or you're not into. So I find recording passes the time. Um, but I'd have to say that there was more, if not more, like just about the same Green Day songs that were huge, mind you. They had a lot. Like that's what I'm trying to say here. Like, Metallica has a big catalog too, but like Green Day, really, I don't know. Like Green Day is the new Metallica. Like they're the ones that are going to go another 20 years touring like this,
I think so. Yeah,
and
maybe so. I mean,
doing
look
these
up, look,
stadiums, blah blah blah. Like,
because look at the legacy Green Day has churned out since they first formed.
you get what I'm saying?
The,
Like
yes,
they're not replacing Metallica as a band, but like
they're reaching the
they're
same
replacing.
level that Metallica is at right
Yes,
now.
and I mean, really, like in the audience there was definitely a lot of young people, but there
And as well as
was.
their parents who grew up with those albums back in the 90s, that's for sure.
Yeah,
And also fits to
there-
say that Green Day may have been the inspiration for the emo rock craze that later happened in the early 2000s, like My Chemical Romance, Pierce the Veil. I remember reading that online a couple times in the past.
but to me, like it's like they're not metal, but like Metallica, it's a whole different.
It's punk pop
uh
rock, needless
yeah,
to say, because it
it's a
was
different
more
deal.
appealing.
But
It was because it was more appealing to the pop crowd in terms of
what other
arrangements and chords and such.
what other bands? Your Metallica. That's a big name, big songs. Green Day, big name, big songs. What other, and pretty much kind of same members, original members, minus tragedies that's happened, blah 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 with Metallica. Um, what other bands that were? I mean, the Foo Fighters, right? They're always big and stuff, but they're not doing. They did the Pavilion this year. They're not doing stadiums here. What other bands could do? Mind you, football stadiums or baseball stadiums. Like I mean, there's not that much. Like, who can really?
Fill up a
I,
stadium.
if you really think like there's none. It's only
Well, if
like
Pink Floyd,
Metallica. And
well,
only
if well, let me throw this in. If Pink Floyd were still together, and if they were to reunite with Roger Waters to do a tour together, and if Richard Wright, their keyboard player, was still living, if they were to announce a reunion stadium tour, all the tickets would be sold out within seconds. No doubt about that. And I remember when Led Zeppelin announced it back in 1980 that they were going to go on a U.S. tour that year prior to John Bonham's death. Fans were outside of the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, all over the place, willing to get tickets. It made even a news item on the local news at one point. Fans stocked the ticket booths at the Pontiac Silverdome and all Ticketmaster outlets because Zeppelin, one of the biggest bands in the 70s, were about to go on tour for the first time in a few years, and fans were so geeked up to see the Zeppelin play once again. And this, like I said, this was a couple months prior to John Bonham's sudden death later that year. And plus, it also fits to say, that Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and if the Beatles were still alive, all the members, including Harrison and Lennon, they were to finally patch things up and do a tour, they would definitely sell out a stadium because obviously the Beatles. The Beatles, I mean, the band that influenced everything that's out there.
and does the Beatles? Do all four members? Do they have sons?
They all have children. They definitely do. But I doubt it
So
very
like,
much if they would fill in the shoes of their fathers. I know
wouldn't that be
Julia.
insane? Wouldn't that be cool?
It would be nice, but And also, we cannot forget the Rolling Stones. They still sell out stadiums because of the legacy they churned out since the beginning of the
That is
1960s.
true.
Yeah,
That is, but it's
but
not like full tour. It's sporadic dates.
yeah,
It's
no,
tour. Like they did a tour. They did that Diamonds tour this past year, but it's like not like 50,000 dates. You know what I'm saying?
I
They didn't
know.
even come to they didn't even come to Dallas here. They only went to Houston this
Wow,
year. So
wow.
I would have gone to that if they would have came to Dallas. To be honest with
I
you.
know it would probably would cost plenty bit. I know I mentioned this to Ark Noya. I gotta get a hold of him and see where the damn hell he's been, because I think he disabled his Gmail for some reason.
Did you hit up Carlos Cabron?
I sent an invitation to see if I can get him on the line. I let him know first. I'm going to
All
see if
right.
I can add him to the call here, just for the just for the heck of it. Let me see here. So so I was wondering,
The
the
Marleys.
yes,
Yes, go
gotta
ahead.
definitely talk to the Marleys. I know you had
Let me
that.
tell you what
Yeah, how was that show?
happened.
It's pretty good, I know.
It was, it was at the Pavilion, the Dallas one. But see, it's really old. Some people find cool, but it's really not in a good part of town. It's an old part of town, a high crime
Hmm.
part of town that people
Rough
don't.
part of the
Most
area.
people live in. Yeah, most people live in the suburbs. Most people that spend money, go to concerts, go to sports events, like most people really do live in the suburbs. Like no one really lives in, I mean, it depends, but um, it was hot. It wasn't that hot that day. It was a little bit, maybe like 90 degrees. But look, honestly, when I bought the tickets, they had a special going on in the map. You can go on Ticketmaster, you can look at the map, and you can see how many seats are there. Like you can literally pick your seat, you buy the individual seat on Ticketmaster now, and others do that too. But I shop through Ticketmaster, and they had a sale going on for four seats for $80, and they were in the back, obviously, but each individual seat for the show in the back was $100. Now in the front, the closer you got, it got a little bit more pricey, 150, 160. I mean, but not too bad, but 200, whatever. But your basic seats in the back were $100, which still wasn't bad.
Mm.
But to save, hey, four seats for 80. Basically, I paid 40 for it. Um, but look, when we got there wasn't that much people that showed up. So they upgrade that. Number one, they upgraded us for
Mm.
free. They
Nice.
gave us a hard ticket, a real hard ticket, and it was in the low. It was in the up. It was in the section closer to the stage, obviously. There, really good seats. You know what I'm saying? But then we were walking around, blah blah blah. And there's a worker lady walking around with these wristbands, and so she was given for free
Oh,
pit
wow.
seats,
Oh, really?
pit,
Nice.
pit,
There you
yeah,
go.
right in front of the stage, and because it wasn't really look, it's like a 16, 17,000 capacity venue, 19,000 capacity, something like that,
So
and
basically,
maybe
the whole crowd altogether was about 75% full.
no,
Three.
maybe like 3,000 people showed up or 4,000,
Mm.
maybe if that. I mean, look, when the concert was going on, it looked pretty full. The
Mm.
lawn wasn't as packed as for other concerts, but it got obviously enough people came to it that they went through with the concert and the workers showed up. And you know what I'm saying? But that's what happens when you get there. When you do stuff early, you could perhaps get upgraded. Now I was probably already going to pay to upgrade already. I was already planning because I was way in the back. But the pit is worth it at times. This pit wasn't stuffed at all. I had a lot of room around me. And a
Mm.
lot of room. And that doesn't mean there. I mean, there was a lot of people there. There was. It definitely took like 10 or more minutes to leave the parking lot because there was people leaving, everyone leaving. It's free parking, which is nice too. I don't know. Did the Cynthia Woods Pavilion? Did they charge for parking?
Well, I believe so, yes. I'm not too sure if it was
Really?
associated with the City of Woods, but I know there was a lot of parking structures that did charge
The
a lot,
parking
about
garages.
$10 at that time, probably
Yeah,
15 nowadays. Like I
they had a
said, if you
parking lot.
go ahead, but I
Well,
do know.
parking here. There's no parking under $20 really anywhere. Like
That's good.
for any for I mean, but $30 parking, $50 parking. That's like the average, which is horrible. But it is what it is. It's part of the deal. You know what I'm saying? But this pavilion, it is free parking now. Obviously, there's upgrade options available, Dr. Brown. If you wanna, for $60,
Mm,
you can park at the parking lot. That's right. I mean, I'm not saying it's a long walk. It's literally like the free parking is literally a 5-minute walk to the bit, and it's right there. But if you want to upgrade and park closer, which means you'll leave the parking lot quicker, which is worth the $60, to be honest with you. It depends on what your mood is. If you don't feel like, if you just in a hurry to get back home or whatever you want to, so there is always upgrade options available.
I know. It was kind of
But it was,
I think I mentioned this in terms of parking for the Iron Maiden show at the City Woods Pavilion back in 2019. I remember I was able to luck out and park next to this one spot near the business district next to the Woodlands Mall, and it was about $5. So I kind of lucked out in terms compared to everybody else who had to pay about 10 or
yeah,
15 bucks to park.
you don't want to risk it. You don't want to risk it and just park anywhere.
Yeah. Especially you don't want to get a ticket when you're at a parking spot that you didn't know that you're not supposed to park at.
But this was much more than just a concert, Brown.
All
If
right. So this was like
you know
a
this
tribute concert to Bob Marley or as
this is a
Bo-
real tribute. This was like a movie or something. I mean, you got to be into Bob Marley or reggae music to be into to know. Um, I mean, they were showing obviously pictures of Bob Marley on the screen,
oh
which is
yeah.
nice.
Yep.
Epic stuff like that, like Haile Selassie, Emperor of Ethiopia on their
Hmm.
video.
No woman,
And then
no
all the
cry.
songs, I mean, you talk about one of the biggest or just a huge catalog of songs in general. I mean, they could have played a whole nother set of Bob songs that they didn't even play. You know what I'm saying? There's just so many songs. And look, I'm not going to lie, they played all my favorites. I
Hmm.
go deep with Marley on that, as you know, Concrete Jungle, um,
Buffalo
you
Soldier.
know, Buffalo Soldier, they do Exodus, all those, you know what I mean?
Did they do No
All the,
Woman, No Cry?
they did not do that now.
Oh
That's
wow.
the
Because
one
that's
that
what it.
that's a slower pace song.
Mhm.
And plus, remember when I saw the Wailers last year? They played that song anyway,
Yes.
so
Now
I
the
got to
big one,
actually hear the
now
song.
the big one, of course, was "I Shot the Sheriff." Obviously,
They they did play that, and they didn't have it on the set list on the previous because this was probably like the sixth, maybe the fifth or sixth date, maybe seventh. It was one of the first dates of the tour, and they didn't have that song in the set. Maybe on one show they did, but like they had another one in there.
yeah. I think "I Shot the Sheriff" will probably be the most one of the most iconic songs that Bob Marley did because, as you know, Eric Clapton will later do his
Yeah.
rendition of the song a few years later after it came out. And let's also not forget that Bob Marley still remains one of the most profound singers about protest music, standing up for one's rights, get up, stand up for your rights. Did he ever do that song, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
good. They should because, that song
That was the
alone
second.
says
Hey,
it all.
that was that was the second song they did.
Hmm.
That was number two.
One of
You know,
these
they
days,
opened with
go
they
ahead.
did. I mean, they obviously they did One Love, Three Little Bird. I mean, they did everything you want to hear. But like that's the that's the future, and that's the present. But like for these, like I mentioned earlier about if the Beatles had like imagine if the Beatles had four sons or whatever, and they were all what 30 or 40 or whatever by now, maybe 50. How
Hmm.
old is John Lennon's son?
John Lennon, which one? Jillian or Sean?
Julian,
Yeah, I'm not too
famous.
sure how. I'm not too sure how old he is at the moment,
Look
but
up how old he is. Look up how old he is real quick.
right here, I
Because
do
look,
know one.
like
Go ahead.
that's the future of live music. Like these tribute bands, yes,
Yeah, it is.
and there's a few tributes. You know, the Pink Floyd one that's nationwide, that's on a bigger scale, that actually
Oh
plays like
yeah.
arena shows and stuff. But like, if you think about it, like your bands like Linkin Park, reformed, regrouped
Hmm.
is kind of the new thing as well.
Oh
I mean,
wow, wow. Julian Lennon
going
is
back.
61 years old.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Imagine if the Beatles had four sons, and of course, if some of the Beatles were still alive, have Ringo there, have McCartney there. But like,
Paul.
imagine that. I mean, that would be a huge ticket. What like you don't see? You got to think of songs, iconic songs, or big bands, big groups that you don't really hear from anymore. Like your Pink Floyds, like you said. I mean, you still get your Roger Waters.
Hmm.
People still get their fix with that. But I'm saying,
David Gilmour
like
as well.
your Led Zeppelin, even
Oh yeah.
Jason Bonham that does his tribute. So like you kind of
Yep.
get that. If you really think about it, like what everyone has their. I mean, any songs, any bands already have. They're still going pretty much. Um,
Yeah. And by the way, Sean Ono Lennon is 48 years old. By the way, he's a couple
see,
years
look at
close to
that.
being 50 years old.
And then we'll see what Kiss does with this animatronics
Avatar
deal
thing,
they're
I
working on.
know the
Yeah, the
Avatar thing.
Avatar.
That's going to be a trip out. Like I said before, with you and I are on the call, we said if they're going to do that, they at least come up with something different than the same old Kiss songs we know like the backs of our hands. Or like if they're going to do that, how about some different versions or like a movie style, like a plot, something lot 20 times better than Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. If you ever saw that movie, have you ever saw that movie by the way?
I've seen a lot of clips over the years. Yes.
Well, I did. I brought me, my dad, and my sister. We saw that movie when it premiered on NBC TV, and oh boy, to look at it nowadays is like, what the hell? Oh, dude, even the
I
members of
seen
Kiss agree on that one.
I've seen Kiss three times.
Mm,
Now, not original, but within the past 20 years. And then I saw obviously Ace Frehley,
mm-hmm.
and I really wanted to go to this farewell thing, but it is the same set list for Kiss. Like Kiss does do the same songs,
I know, yeah.
and once you're like one year I went to see Kiss. It was at a soccer field, and I ended up, it was like a GA floor, and I ended up like how we were for Judas Priest, like not up against the barricades, but like the people behind those people, like second row basically. For Kiss, I mean, you can't beat that. You know what I'm saying? I know I like to film stuff now, and that would have been a good one to have on film. But I feel like Gene Simmons' band's going to float around
Mm.
Texas, and I might have to go. I am going to go see. I mean, Ace is always going to do his thing.
Peter, we
Um,
don't know. I guess he retired from playing the kid a couple years back.
a lot of these groups, Brown, they're not like go
Now,
back to
what
the
about
Marleys.
Paul? No, what about Paul Stanley? You think it's he? You think maybe he should restart a solo career or go out with that Soul Station project he had for a while?
I think he is going to do some Soul Station stuff.
Ah,
Yes.
interesting. Because if you ever checked out Paul Stanley's Soul Station, I encourage you to because he did some good covers of a couple of 70s soul classics. Like Ooh Child, he did a superb cover of that for Shizzle. Or maybe he could possibly release it. I know he put out one solo album called "Live to Win" years back, and I remember seeing him play the Ritz and Roseville solo back in later 1988, Friday and Saturday. And Warrant was the opening act for both those nights. This is when Warrant was starting out.
I'm looking at some news.
All right.
Overall, yeah, the Marley thing. Because look, that movie came out,
Yes, the Bob
and
Marley movie.
people, there's people, I have mega views on these Marley videos on the Master Concerts channel on the channel,
Yes.
and mega. I'm talking, we're getting probably another day, or by the end of the day, I'm gonna have a 10,000 view video. The full video because I put out the full concert video and then I put out each individual song. I mean, there's a bunch of Green Day and Smashing Pumpkin stuff I haven't put out yet. It's song like some deeper stuff that I
Hmm.
don't even know, but I gotta, I'll put all the hits individually up and then I put the full video up, right?
Yes.
And of course, when you watch a full video, you can see all the deep cuts, all the hits, everything. But there's still stuff I got to put up. And those views, on the Green Day video, it's like 1,000 view
I know.
video,
Yes.
which is cool. But I knew the Marley thing was going to get mega views because it's a world like there's a lot of people in different languages commenting that I don't even know. Spanish languages, there's
I had a few. I had a couple.
German.
One of those in one of the techno sets that I uploaded a couple years back. Some
But no, I'm
person was
talking
in
about,
German.
bro. Like you probably have a few videos. I mean, not a few, but you have a handful of videos that that got a good views that you have the comment sections I get are huge. That's why we're putting the show on that channel. We're doing the music show on that channel, and this and I knew the Marley stuff was going to be big. You know what I'm saying? To see obviously Ziggy Marley's huge, but if you look on YouTube, Damian Marley, Damian Junior Gong, he has mega subscribers. He has a big following, huge,
Mm.
millions, millions. Uh, those are the two popular big brothers out of the group. Stephen Marley's big, but there's Julian Marley who dresses just. I mean, he's wearing the denim shirt, denim pants, just like Bob. He looks
Hmm.
his dreadlocks are just like Bob.
Yep.
I think he's one of the younger brothers. I'm not sure, but it's just like he looks just like Bob, bro. It's crazy. Just Julian Marley and Kaimani Marley. Full. I'm talking Brown. Check this out. A full live band, reggae band, 100% live. The horn section, 100% live. I mean, they could have just gone on there with the
Everything
horns
was live.
with the computer. They could have just did some horns to the computer, but everything was live. The backups, because with Bob Marley and the Wailers, Bob Marley he had the I3, the three women backup singers, and
Yes.
it was just like they had three women backup singers for this. I mean, it was just like it was 100% live. Like you can't. I mean, look, I'm not going to say this was the best concert I've been to, but look, it's definitely. I'm gonna throw this out there. It's definitely because I've seen a lot. Like the Green Day wasn't the best, but it's definitely one that like kept you on your toes because you knew a lot of songs. Like there wasn't a dull moment for the Green Day. But I would have to say this Marley. I'm gonna put it in. I'll throw it in the top three I've been through. It's more than a concert. If you're a fan, it's much more. The message of the music, the message of the songs for Marley. It's what a lot of people. You know what I mean, Brown?
Yeah.
And which people get messages from other songs that's hopeful messages, but this Marley thing's a whole nother deal. I mean, we're talking like icon. We're talking
A legend.
legend. I
A
mean,
poet
seriously,
and a
yeah. I mean,
prophet, according to the Chili Peppers.
and it's just something that you can't compare to because I never seen Bob Marley live, so this is what you get. You can choose to go and pay for the ticket, or you can choose not to. And look, someone could have paid. I think they're doing like a $40 lawn or something, which still wasn't bad. and you could have gone out there, paid $40, and got free upgraded to pit. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's just how, and eventually they do get packed once it gets, later on and everything. But Brown, you got to give me a real opinion. Real opinion. Were you into Linkin Park
Well,
back in the
I
day?
did listen to, I did like a couple of songs like In the End, Crawling. I did like Breaking the Habit. That was a pretty good one there. I like the tone of that.
Hybrid Theory album.
Yes.
This is going back at a time, Brown. We'll just throw out 20
2000.
years ago. This is back when the wrestling was great still. Professional wrestling, like this music was,
The
I never
the new
listened
metal
to,
scene.
yeah, the new metal. This music was never my thing, you know what I'm saying? They kind of mix a little rap into that. They do these rhyming lyrics in
Yes.
these Linkin Park
That
songs.
was Mike Shinoda,
But
the other guy there.
but they have the screaming part of the songs.
That was
Now,
Chester.
yeah, I've been diving into.
Chester was mainly the vocalist of the band, where Mike was either backup vocals or the rapping part, accompanied guitar and everything else,
Almost like an Alice in Chains. Would you agree?
something like that there. But the difference is, not I don't think not. The difference is a lot more members in Linkin Park. Johnson Chains didn't have a DJ or a guy behind some sort of electronic control gadgets there to help make the music.
I
It
never
was
knew that they had the two sing. I never knew that they had the two singers. I thought it was just what's his name?
Chester, the
Uh,
other one. But
just
believe me,
Bennington. Yeah.
it was like that. I mean, the lyric. Listen to the song in the end. That kind of gave you a description. They got a guy there who sang and rapped, as well as the main singer, like Chester was.
Which was not look at that time. I mean, that's almost like Rage Against the Machine influence there with the rat mixed in with the rock. But
Yes,
look, they do, and look, you correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm right on this. They do have definitely an influence of industrial into there as well. Would you
they
agree with
do
that?
that. Yeah, the kind of that. There was an album that
They
a
add
remix
those
of.
sounds. They add those almost like
Yes,
Ministry, where they add those like weird sounds to it, like those
yes,
computer sounds,
yes,
and
exactly. Ministry or bands like
they
other.
really do, bro. Like it's
Yes,
really a great. If you think about it, it's like a bunch of different genres. Linkin Park, you
yes,
know, into one, but it's definitely rock. It's in the rock genre, obviously. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? New
Well,
metal,
when Linkin Park first came out in 2000, they were labeled kind of like the they were like associated with the what they called the new metal scene, like Limp Bizkit, Deftones, bands who
Yes.
had Korn was probably like one of the big predecessors to that genre.
Is that what Deftones is? Deftones is
New
like they
metal,
have
yeah,
rap it.
new
It's
metal.
new
Well,
metal, or
I don't.
do
Well,
they?
it's not really rap. It's not, but it's just like stuff where it's like some of the instruments are detuned or the singers like, oh my
Oh,
god, I'm so sorry.
that's a
Pretty
big
much,
no.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a big
That
Brown.
was a
That's a
big,
big tour. That's a big tour coming out. Is Deftones and they're actually doing the arenas. They're actually doing basketball arenas. That's not one I'm not interested in, and I'm not going to pay for, and I'm not
yeah.
going to go out of my way to pay for myself. But I know that's a big thing. I'm saying that they're back or something. Would you agree that I mean, like Linkin Park really, and look, that's why they have this huge fan base deal. Now, are you
Because a
mad
lot of
about this? Are you
go ahead.
mad that they're coming back and they have this new singer, or like
No, I'm
that's
not mad.
how?
It's about time that they did come back because you got to remember like this this is basically what the band does to earn a living. They make
Like
records,
AC,
they
look what
make music.
look at ACDC.
Yeah, and no doubt about it. Linkin Park has carved out a big legacy with the songs they put out throughout the whole 2000s. I mean, like the lyrics that they had with Chester spoke out to millions who are going through the same issues, like the song "Kicking the Habit." I mean, like there's somebody out there who is trying to kick the habit themselves, and they can definitely relate to the topic of the discussion of that song. They can relate to what that song is saying. I know there's a lot of people out there who are going through toxic relationships, and I guess songs like "In the End" kind of fits the mode that they're going through. And when I heard about they got a new vocalist, a female, Emily Armstrong, who used to sing with Dead Sarah, I was like, this is interesting. Now they also, I guess, have a new drummer just as well. And I guess they're going to have a new guitarist still filling in on the road wise because the original guitar player, he was going to bow out because apparently, see what you think of this. Armstrong, according to not only the ex-guitarist, but also from Chester's son and also Chester's widow. Basically, they called out Emily Armstrong for apparently having ties with Scientology and also supporting actor Danny Masterson, who is right now serving prison time for assaulting two females. And we remember Masterson as one of the stars of that '70s show. So I guess
Yes.
those guys are calling Emily Armstrong out with the big time, but I think they're probably upset over the simple fact that Linkin Park is carrying on, but it's not with basically it's without Chester. Some people have speculated that they should have broken up after Chester died, but like I stated, these not this is what the band does. These are their careers. You can't put aside their career, you can't give it up, especially after churning out hit album after hit album after hit tour, hit song. I mean, all of a sudden throw it away. And chances are, whatever new project that they come out in the near future may not be as big as Linkin Park. So I got to see where the
Have you
band
have
is
you listened
coming
to
from.
Have you listened to any of these new songs?
Yeah, I heard the Emptiness Machine, no doubt about it, when you sent me the link. I also checked out sent you a couple of videos of them performing the songs they did with Chester, like Numb, In the End. And you may notice that they did it in a different scale. That is because I know you wanted to touch on that in a message, that you wanted to talk about that. Why they do this? Well, simply, Chester Bennington and Emily Armstrong, they both sound similar, but they also have different vocal ranges when you think about it. So to accommodate the singer, they have to do the songs in a different key, something new, something different. I mean, I even sent you a clip of Black Sabbath with Rodney James Dio doing the song "Sweetly" that they did with Ozzy. And you may
Yes.
know if you listen to that, you notice he did it at a different scale, a D scale instead of an A scale, like the original. Because obviously Dio and Ozzy had different vocal ranges. And the same thing with Tim Ripper Owens when he was involved with Judas Priest. You listen to the album Live 98, you notice that they kind of detuned their instruments a little bit to accommodate, of course, Tim Owens. It's unique, it's kind of interesting, but you know what? It is kind of like a ritual that often bands do when they get a new singer at times. And like I said, this is a new form of Linkin Park that is emerging right now. And along with this new form, they're going to take some old stuff and make it new again, basically. And I think that's what they're doing right now with both Emily Armstrong and some of the Chester songs that they did and rearranging them to different keynote scales. And that's what I think they're trying to do. Now, Park right now is on tour right now. I see a lot of recommendations to check out the full sets of their current tour right now. And of course, the new album, From Zero, is going to be out in November. And we already have the Emptiness Machine. Me and my nephew was listening to it on the way to my job. And it is a good song, no doubt about it. It has that old Linkin Park flair to it, but just with a different co-vocalist. Of course, Emily Armstrong. Now, how how many people out there who are going to be watching this show later on will have to agree that when a band gets a new singer after the previous one dies, how do you going to agree? You know they're going to say deep down inside that they're going to be out there saying, "No, they should have quit a long time ago when their singer passed away." But then again, many times the band would like to carry on. They like to continue their legacy, just with a new approach. I mean, people were saying the same thing about Stone Temple Pilots when Scott Weiland passed away and they got the new guy that they have right now. And by the way, Chester Bennington did a couple shows with Stone Temple Pilots, filling in for Scott's place. You can look for that on YouTube. And also, let's not forget the new singer or current singer of Alice in Chains. Yeah, he sounds like Lane Staley, but just not with that insanity level that Staley possessed. But then again, you got to remember, Staley, Whalen, and Bennington died. They ended their lives. Whalen and Staley with drug use, Bennington by suicide. I mean, you got to remember, when you get a new singer, it's going to be a different. Obviously, it's not going to be the same. But then again, if a band doesn't change, how are you going to progress? Always keep that in mind.
How was your reaction when you heard Brian Johnson?
Oh, the interaction with Brian Johnson was powerful. It was most accepted. When the album Back in Black came out in 1980, it was huge, huge, man. It was all over the radio. You Shook Me All Night Long, Shoot the Thrill, Back in Black, the title cut. All those albums were accepted. And also with Black Sabbath with Ryan James Dio, the title cut from Heaven and Hell. That was all over radio. Most definitely. When I first heard the song Neon Nights, I was like, wow, this is most interesting. They got a new singer. It's a guy who used to sing with Rainbow. Wow. So there are times where the new singer will get accepted, but there are going to be those who are not as accepting. I mean, like ask Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. I remember he recalls that during the Black and Blue tour with Dio, there were people flipping him off because he got a new singer other than Ozzy. But then again, that does come along with it. The only difference is nowadays, some of the fans now express that more on social media. Also, got to throw in this. When the Six Pistols got back together in 1996, the mother of Sid Vicious, their so-called bass player, because he didn't play a damn thing when he was on tour with them. They had somebody else filling in from backstage. The mother of Sid Vicious called out the Pistols for going on without her son. But then again, according to many legendary stories, the mother of Sid Vicious was the one who got him into heroin because she was a dope addict herself. And keep in mind, her son is dead. Her son, with what he did with his girlfriend, allegedly, helped break up the Pistols. If I was any of the singers that I mentioned who passed away, like Staley, Bennington, or Whalen, I would think twice about, hey, we churned out a good legacy. I think I remember reading you the statement issued by Whalen's widow at the time of his death, describing how life was with her husband during his drug binging days. Not that fun, I could tell you that. It was absolutely sad. I can imagine, what Chester Bennington's widow must have been going through, as well as his son. But hey, that's how it is. Bands gotta earn a living. They got mouths to feed, particularly their own. They don't want to give up Linkin Park just yet. They want to keep going and going. They found a couple people to keep that road going one of them being Emily Armstrong. They taken a new direction. They're back on tour right now, and give them credit for doing so. Because it's been about 7 years since we heard anything from Linkin Park, to be exact. And much credit to Emily Armstrong for not only carrying on her own legacy, but also carrying on Chester's legacy as well. So much credit to her for that. All right.
Is there any other news that you like going
And
through
then,
that?
well, we can talk about the one I sent you, the upcoming remix edition of Rocka Rolla, the first Judas Priest album. I sent you that link. That album's going to be coming out pretty soon. And for understand, it was remixed. Let me see if I can find the link for you right now because I had this album on cassette. I was intrigued by the other cover on it. It came out on Gold Records in 1974. Let's see. Let me do this. Judas Priest Rocka Rolla Remix Edition. Okay, here we go.
Is it remastered?
Yeah, it's a remix and remastered of their debut album, Rocka Rolla, will be released on November 22nd of this year on CD, vinyl, and digitally. The album was originally recorded in 1974 and features the tracks One for the Road, the title cut, Cheater, and one of my favorites, Run to the Mill. It was produced by the guy who produced Black Sabbath's earlier albums, Roger Bain, and the remixes were created using modern technology to rebalance and upgrade the original tracks without re-recording any of the music. Priest manager Jane Andrews collaborated with a label called Reach Music to make the offer to Gold Records to purchase the rights to the album to have it reissued. Okay?
Will you buy that on vinyl?
Vinyl? Yes. So would like to hear it. Most definitely. Now, of course, it's going to come out with the original cover, most likely, which resembles a pop bottle top with the words Rocka Rolla on it. No doubt about that. I remember seeing the album originally back in early days of record store buying. It was available. It was usually released under different labels like Passport Records, this record label, that record label. RCA Records picked up this album and Sad Wings of Destiny, released them both. The difference is when they did that, they gave Rocka Rolla a different cover. Look it up on YouTube, definitely. Not definitely. Also look it up on Google Images just as well. And the different thing, interesting about this album is that it leans towards the more prog rock side around that period. Bands kind of lead towards that genre a bit. It even has a synthesizer on the track, Run to the Mill. But it's the most definitely epic track there. Definitely epic. Of course, a couple years later, Rob Halford would cut his hair, release the album Sad Wings of Destiny, featuring the songs that we all know by heart, Victim of Changes, The Ripper, Dreamer Deceiver, Island of Domination, Tyrant, and of course, Genocide, which he kicked massive ass when we both saw them back in November 22.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, there.
All right, brother.
All right. So, anything else do we got
We'll
to
get
talk about?
we'll get Prince and all three on next time, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And but I hope by then my eyesight be in the right eye be up to par. Like I stated, it's still dilated at the moment, but like I was informed, it'll possibly be the next few hours before anything comes about as a result. And you know what? I'm looking forward to getting myself back on the road once again, as I stated. All right, so wish me the best on this road I'm on right now, getting myself driver's license, glasses, contacts, all that good stuff there. And also, folks, if you're watching this, subscribe to YR's channel, Entertainment 360.
Thank you.
Also, his other channel, Master of Concerts. And also, subscribe to my channel, Dr. Earl W. Brown. Shout out to the new subscribers who subbed after I uploaded that Jane's Addiction commentary video a couple weekends ago. Got a lot of comments on that one for Shizzle. Or for Great YR and myself, everybody have a great Thursday evening, and we see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.